Hello, my name is Zoe Hunt. I'm Director at Large of the EFA, and today we're here with Shelley Younge. She is the former Assistant Principal Flute of the ESO and teacher extraordinaire. Hello, Shelley. How are you today?
I'm fine, just fine.
First of all, can you tell us a little bit about your flute journey?
Oh, it's been a very, very long journey, that's for sure. From junior high school, I played clarinet. Senior high school, I switched to flute because there were three of us vying for principal clarinet, and he had to split us all up. So I thought the flute was pretty, and our band had just gotten one. I grew up in Ponoka School Band.
Oh, wow.
And that was the end of that. I suddenly became a flute player. In high school, I took grade 7 flute exam and grade 7 clarinet exam. And the same examiner, and he said, you should choose an instrument. I suggest you choose the clarinet because you're a little bit better on that. So, of course, being me, I chose the flute, damn it. That's what I wanted to play. So I went off to Indiana a few years later, which is one of the, probably the biggest music school in the States. And that's where I learned to practice. And where I had some great teaching. And that's where I learned everything I know, essentially, and have built on that since then.
So what kinds of things did you learn to practice, and how did you learn? Like, what was your routine?
Oh, well, that's a long time ago. But I decided, if I was working on a real job, I'd be working 8 hours a day. So I think I'm going to try to do 8 hours of flute a day. Well, that was a bit ridiculous. And I figured that out pretty soon. I mean, I had rehearsals and stuff and classes I had to go to. So I decided, okay, I'm going to strive to do 6 hours a day, which again, I jump in with both feet. And that was a little ridiculous. I don't think I ever got to 6 hours a day, but I always, the first couple of years, always got to 4 hours a day.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty ridiculous, really. I would admit that now. And of course, it doesn't matter how long you practice, it's the quality of your practice.
The quality, right.
You have to practice slowly until you can play it.
Right.
You can't really, in order for something to sound easy when you play it, it has to actually be easy. That means over and over again, and technique. And I would divide up my practicing into 3 sections. The first one, of course, is long tones and scales, technique. And depending on what I needed, I'd spend more time doing that. At first, I had to really work on my sound and technique, of course. And then, so you do your sound technique, then you do your etudes, which again is more technique. And you think about, along with the sound, is breathing exercises, because that's very important on the flute. Repertoire came last. For the first couple of years, I was walking around listening to the other flute players down there, and I thought, whoa, they are really good.
Oh, man.
And I got going into my 6 hours, and I caught up. The first year I was there are 5 orchestras and 4 bands there, and I was in I was in the second last band. The next year I was in the 4th orchestra. And then the next year I was in the best orchestra. So it was, only proves that hard work can work for you. I found in a way, if you practice enough slowly, usually you can kind of, as you're speeding it up, you can almost think in slow motion.
Yeah.
A student said that to me once, and I thought, that's what Wayne Gretzky does. I wonder if that would work for me. And I tried it, and it does work if you have that kind of time. It can face it. Flute is a very physical instrument. You have to have you have to be in pretty good shape to do all that heavy breathing, and it's hard work. And the more physical you can be, the better, I think. That certainly helped me anyway.
So were you ever a solo flute player yourself?
No. After I finished school, I came up here and I taught at Alberta College, and along came the second flute opening in the orchestra. So I tried out, and I tried out again, and then I tried out one more time, and I got it finally.
Oh, so that's how it works. Okay, they had an opening for, was it local flute players, or was it all over Canada?
Well, the first one was local, didn't make it, and they don't usually choose one in the local round. There's, generally speaking, most orchestras, especially in those days, there's a local round, a Canadian round, and then an international round. So, you know, the local round, you say, well, this is my practice. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, I didn't get it because they got to see who else they can reach across the country, which is kind of a pain. But anyway, that's
it sounds like.
Yeah. So I think I took three different auditions and finally got the job. And 40 years later, I retired.
Oh my goodness. What kind of stuff for the audition did you prepare, and what kind of stuff did they ask for? Was it
for any orchestra audition, any instrument? They always have a big long list. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 pages of orchestral excerpts, and you got to know all the standards. You got to know Brahms. You got to know Beethoven's and Mozart's, and you know, each instrument has its really hard licks that you got to know, and so they send you the list and you learn it all, and you try to learn it so you know what the rest of the orchestra is doing too. And then still, when I'm teaching those excerpts, I can still play the fake fingerings that I maybe had to work on. And
I'm kidding, because you knew it.
Oh, I knew it.
Oh my gosh.
The last time, I'm sorry, I'm just going to chat on here for a second.
Go for it.
When we had a big flute opening for the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra, there were 200 applications.
Oh my gosh. Stiff competition. It's like,
it's fierce. You've got to learn to play with fear. You got to, you know, you're scared to death, and you still got to be yourself. You still got to present every note perfectly. Mm-hmm. And you know, I could never win an audition right now, but it's tough. It's really
could, but yeah. Is it true that I was talking to Liz yesterday that when you're doing an audition, they have a screen between you and the
yeah. And it's very important, especially I remember being again at school, a famous female horn player came and talked to us about auditioning, and she said, don't wear your high heels. Because if they know you're a woman, they're most, and this was back in the 60s, right? So there was a great prejudice against female musicians, I think. Right. No, I know there was. And so she said, because she said, I've seen the panel look at each other and sort of go like, oh yeah, here comes, you know, never mind this one. And,
oh my goodness, that's really interesting, Shelley. I looked that up actually, and it said in Boston, I think there is 60% female because of this screen dance. Yeah. But before it was something like 30%. So
yeah. And you know, the first flute player in Boston Symphony, Dorian and Anthony Dwyer, was the first. Well, I don't know if she was one of the very first principal positions in an orchestra. And I don't know if you know anything about the American suffragettes. Susan B. Anthony was a famous woman trying to get the vote, right? So Dorian Anthony Dwyer was related to Susan B. Anthony, and so she would always use that in her name. And she had to promise not to get pregnant, and if she got pregnant, she could only take 1 week off.
For goodness sake.
And later, people I knew would go and study with her, and they'd say, she's such a battle axe. And I said, you bet she's a battle axe. She had to fight tooth and nail to get that position. So things have changed a whole lot.
Indeed.
Thank God.
Yeah. We're lucky now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I don't want to digress too much from everything, but these are good things just to know where we're at and truths.
Yeah.
So let me go to some more questions here. How did you become interested in playing for an orchestra, or why did you decide to go to play for an orchestra rather than a solo role, for example?
Well, solo role is a solo life. You're on the road, you're traveling. I wanted to be part of an orchestra because there's something like so exciting when you're in the middle of an orchestra and everybody's playing, and it's like driving a race car sometimes. You're just, wee-ha, this is great. And it's a steady paycheck too. And to make a living as a solo flute player is tough. Not very many people can pull that off. I was a good flute player, but not good enough to be a solo career. Didn't want to do that, and I couldn't.
Didn't want to do it, so.
Didn't want to do it. Yeah.
Fair. And what about your teaching? When did you become a teacher of the flute? And what kinds of things do you teach your students for?
Oh, yay. I love teaching. And there was a time before I got into the orchestra, I had 35 students. I think I said that already. And you get to the point sometime with someone you've had since junior high school, and they're in high school or they're about to go into high school, and they'll be playing in their lesson. And all of a sudden you think, she's got it. And it almost brings a tear to your eye because you think, yes, I've enjoyed this. And so, when you meet them when they're little, I had a mother of a student say, she doesn't like classical music. She'd rather play pop. So if you can just ease her into that gently, or maybe just do pop. And then I said, okay, I'll try. And then I forgot who she was, whose mother she was. And
right.
Years later, the same mother who I'd forgotten, I didn't know who she was, came up to me and said, do you remember me the very first time you took my daughter as a student? And I said, oh, that was you. I'm sorry, I did do that. I treat them the same. You learn this,
yes.
You have to learn how to practice. Practice slowly. You have to have, nothing. I don't know if I'm beginning to repeat myself. Nothing is easy.
Right.
And if you don't understand something, you're not going to play it very well.
Right.
So you need to
and then you were my teacher for a little while there, and there was a set of scales that you had us do. So the scales are. Can you go into like what the scales are and how to play them and why you do that and what it's good for?
It's the language. It's the language of music. And if you practice your scales, you learn how to tongue, you learn how to breathe. Your fingers. We're flute players. We have to go fast. If you're reading every note, you haven't practiced your scales. Because if you can think in a scale pattern and go straight up, you can do it as fast as you have to do it for the orchestra or the band. But yeah, I can't. Was it Taffanel and Gobert that I was telling you to do, or was it my own exercises?
Your own exercises.
With the 8 slurring.
That's it.
Yeah.
8 different types of slurs. Yeah.
And
scales. Yeah. And it really helps to do that. Oh, and also the chromatics. You were asking to do the chromatics. I still do those every single day. Going up 1 and then down 2 and then up to the next one. Yeah.
Good.
Really helpful, because if you're not doing that, like you said, you're looking at your etudes, for example, and they're groups of notes, and if you don't have the groups of notes solid, then not gonna. Yeah.
That's in the category, if you can understand what you're playing, it's so much easier. Then you can actually do it,
It's a process, though. Oh my gosh. It's a challenge for me, for one. But
if you've skipped any of those things on the way, and I think you had done that, then the poor teacher has to say, no, Zoe, you're going to pull you back down here, and you're going to learn this so that you can be okay on your own.
That's it. What are your favorite pieces to play, or your favorite type of music to play?
That's sort of changed over the years, but it used to be, if I'm sort of out of shape and I want to get back into it, I read through all the Bach sonatas. Because what's better than Bach? It's low notes, and if you got good low notes, you're going to have good high notes. It's, you know, it's complex, but it's beautiful. It makes you think, oh, so nice, so beautiful. I love this. And then as I got a little bit better and rowdier, I wanted to practice faster things. So I would do, if I felt like, oh, why am I a musician? I would always play the CPE Bach D minor concerto, because it's fun. It's fun. It's classical as opposed to Baroque, so it goes high and fast, and I just love it. I just love it. So that's what I would play when I needed to reacquaint myself with being a musician and having fun playing the flute.
Cool. What about a different genre? Have you ever gone into jazz or blues?
Yes.
Because you seem like a bluesy kind of jazzy, you know, you really do, you know?
I have no talent. Okay, I wasn't going to confess this, but I confess last year or 2 years ago, I was a rock band. I played in a rock band.
Nice.
A seniors rock band.
Wait, good for you. Good for you.
We played, it was a friend who said, well, we need a flute player for this. The guitar player knew me too through my son. Anyway, so they asked me to play some Jethro Tull concerts with them. Just one piece in each concert. And I had so much fun.
See if I've got some more questions. Oh yeah. Do you have any tips or tricks that you're willing to share, that you or any quotes or things that a mentor has told you in the past, or a teacher has told you in the past?
There are so many tricks that I pull from so many things. Yeah, there's, you know, different things.
And what's one, for example, if you have a breathy sound?
Sounds like a lesson here. If you have a breathy sound, if you think of turning your lips, these are your lips, turn it inside out a little bit, so the air is passing over the soft part of your lips, the upper lip. You got to pout a bit with your lower lip, and just try to get you don't want the more you purse your lips, the more fuzz you're going to get in your sound. Just try it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's yeah, you got it.
Okay.
You flute and see how it works. And it's something that you can't really see visually, but you can feel it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool.
And to get the higher notes, it's air direction, right?
Okay, right.
So you aim higher and think. What I tell little kids is to say, okay, do you think the flute is a warm air instrument or a cold air instrument? What do you think?
I think it's warm air.
Yeah, everybody thinks. No, it isn't. Make a warm air on your hand. Now make a cold air. That's the flute. So when you go up higher, turn off my phone.
Totally cool.
You think, faster air and cold air.
Awesome.
Flute is a warm instrument, but to play it, you got to use your cold air.
Thank you so much, Shelley. We will see you soon.
Yes.
Very good.